it's Shannon with Play with the World, and I'm so happy to be back. I lost my voice last week and I got really sick, so here I am out playing with the world, and I have a really powerful message for you today because it's actually really relevant to what's going on right now in the world. So first I want to start off by saying a lot of the times when we're working towards our goals and we start taking steps to make things happen, and we're like, things are going really good, I've set my intention, I'm focusing on what I want. Sometimes, in fact most often, as you're taking steps forward and leaving the old patterns behind, a lot of the times a lot of stuff will come up. Emotional issues, feelings, fears, things that you didn't even know that you still had or that you were going to experience rise to the surface. And here we are in the new year. A lot of us are still working on our goals and stepping into the 2015 with lots of clarity, and we're releasing old patterns from last year or from previous, years and decades. And as we do this, a lot of the stuff that we haven't addressed will come up. So that might be what's happening. And also, more relevant, right now we are actually in Mercury Retrograde. If you're watching this between January 21st to February 11th of 2015, then there's a period that we are in. It's an energetic period on the planet Earth called Mercury Retrograde, and it's when the planet Mercury is in a retrograde. So what does that mean? That means that all of the energy, it affects the energy on planet Earth, the magnetic fields, and more importantly, what it really affects is technology. It affects communication and relationships. So if you are feeling like right now you are trying to make things happen and they're not, or you feel frustrated, or you're getting a lot of rejection because you're putting yourself out there and nothing's flowing, or in relationship, let's talk about relationships, maybe people from your past have reached out, or past lovers, or maybe in your own relationship with yourself, you're starting to see things that you never thought possible, or your relationship with a significant other, perhaps there's things said and you're like, why did they say that? That's so mean. The reality is Mercury retrograde will affect your communication. So that this time in January, on top of working towards your goals and having all the insecurities and things that you tried to push away come up, makes it an extra tricky time to move forward. So today's message is going to be about how to navigate Mercury retrograde to really allow yourself to step into, once it's over on February 11th, to step into the new energy and feel aligned and truly get what you want. So this is the step-by-step program. I have more steps that I'm putting in the blog, but I'm going to highlight the ones that are really relevant right now here in this video. Okay, so the very first one that you want to look at, I'm going to talk about the do's first. Do revisit your past. Mercury retrograde is all about looking backwards. It happens 3 to 4 times a year, so almost once a season, every quarter. So you can look at it as looking at your life and what happened in the past quarter that maybe needs to be reworked, that needs to be looked at and re-examined. So for me specifically, I made an intention. I told you guys I'm not making resolutions this year, but I have intentions. And my one intention was to really focus on self-care. Of course, I got sick and I lost my voice, but I also have an intention of really inviting more love into my life. I'm ready for a romantic relationship. It's been a couple years for me, and it really took me a while to kind of evaluate what was important to me. And so in doing this, I made the declaration, I want love. But past stuff has come up. A past person came into my life randomly, it felt like, and we were expressing things and saying things that really were left unsaid. And that's very, very true to Mercury retrograde. It's going to bring up things that perhaps feel out of the ordinary. So go into it and revisit it. Just listen and observe. You don't have to act. In fact, Mercury retrograde is not the time to act. You don't need to make plans and you don't need to take action. And so lo and behold, a lot of the stuff came up and I was able to look at it and realize that there's certain healing that needs to happen before I can move forward into a healthy new relationship. And so that's why it came up. So what areas of your life are actually coming up and begging for you to look at? Maybe it's a past job, past relationship, or a past habit that is just no longer serving you. Allow yourself to go into that and really experience it. So the second do that I'm going to share with you today is to free your feelings. I talk about this so much. It's a chapter of my next book that comes out in August, Adventures for Your Soul. Freeing your feelings, especially during Mercury retrograde, is going to save you tons of time once the energy shifts. And so what does that mean? That is all about going inward and allowing the emotions to come up and really feel them. And so, for example, with the ex that came into my life, I had no idea that all of the surge of emotions were going to come up. I had no idea. I thought I worked past all that. But Mercury will ask you and beg you to revisit things and come back and look at everything. It's about crossing your T's and dotting your I's. And so I had to look at that, and I had to allow myself to heal and really go in. And so these feelings can be anything from really sad feelings, happiness, things that you just haven't allowed yourself to feel. A lot of times it even comes back to anger. We feel like we're not angry, or it's not very kind or spiritual to be angry, but all of a sudden we realize, holy crap, we are so angry. Allow yourself to go into those feelings and they will free much easier and faster for you, okay? So feeling your feelings, what does that look like? It means maybe crying yourself to sleep. What does it look like? It means going inward instead of lashing out at your significant other or lashing out at someone who, your boss or a coworker. It's all about an internal experience. Mercury retrograde is about you aligning with your internal self, reevaluating, revisiting, and realigning. Those are the key words for it. And the third and final step is actually a don't I'm going to share with you, and it's don't judge. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge others, especially during this time. So a lot of the times Mercury retrograde is going to bring up a lot of emotions and feelings that you didn't even know you had. And in doing that, if you're going to sit there and judge yourself, gosh, why do I feel this way? What's going on? Then you're actually doing yourself a disservice. Instead, observe. Observation is the key for all of what I'm going to share with you today and this time period, this 3-week time period. So if you're feeling out of chaos and all this stuff is going on in your life and you're like, what is happening? It's not you. Guess what? It's just the energy on the planet. And guess what? This may sound woo-woo, but it's just the law of the universe. There's really no getting around it. So you believe in it or not, it's just the way it is. And what you can do is actually navigate yourself to happiness by taking on these approaches. So it all comes back to your desires. A lot of the times what comes up during this time is in a reflection, and it's a direct reflection of what it is you want most in your life. So instead of running away from these icky feelings or these uncomfortable feelings that you haven't allowed yourself to experience, go inward. And I'm going to end with one final thing for you today. It's to say what needs to be said. And this is very true with your relationships with other people and your relationship with yourself. What is it that you haven't allowed yourself to say about you to you? And more importantly, if there's other people in your life that you really have something you need to say, now is the time you must express yourself. So express yourself, enjoy that, because when you do that, you free yourself, and all of this comes back to healing. It's all healing, and you will feel good as you release it all. So have a great time this week, guys, playing with the world. Thank you so much for taking these steps and applying them to your life, because you will see transformation.